Alright, hello YouTube, Derek Shoehorn here for life advice. Got a few questions to get through today. Thanks to everyone who's been leaving questions in the comments. I really appreciate that. I mean, I do have a hell of a lot to get through from the past 6 months, as regular viewers will know, but it's always good to have more. You know, I love doing what I do. I love helping you guys out with all the advice I can give, and answering your questions is my favorite thing in life. Frankly, nothing makes me happier than that. So let's get right into it. The first question today is from Mr. Hash Lee on YouTube, in the YouTube comments. It's actually kind of a two-part comment. First part's more of a comment than a question. Second part is a question. So I'm going to tackle those separately. The first part is a reference back to yesterday's video in which I discussed the fate of Marilyn Manson, who's been booted off of her record label. And the commenter here says, Derek, Marilyn Manson is a man. Now, what you're doing there, and I'm not trying to attack anyone for this, because I know a lot of this stuff is new to a lot of people, and most people aren't as up to the minute on it as I am, this kind of thing. But saying that Marilyn Manson is a man is a thing that we call dead naming. And this is a new concept. I only found out about it myself about a year ago. And what it means is when you refer to someone who has changed their sex by the old pronoun, the pronoun that they used to be referred to as. Now, I don't know anything about Marilyn Manson's previous identity, and I don't want to, because as the word dead naming suggests, that person is effectively dead. And if you go through, I'm not an expert on Marilyn Manson, but I googled her work, and if you go back through the history of all of her records and every mention in the media, it's all rightfully now been changed to Marilyn Manson from whatever the previous name was, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And like I say, I'm not trying to say that you're trying to be insensitive here or anything like that, but these days it may well be taken that way. So you do well to steer clear of that kind of thing, because for one thing, you may be unfollowed on Twitter by Innocent Smoothies, which I know for me would be a terrible fate because I'm a huge fan. Okay, so that's the first part of Ashley's comment dealt with there. You can't really say that, okay, about Marilyn Manson. The second part is a question. It says, Derek, what are your views on transvestism? Now, again, this is a term which you don't hear much anymore these days. It's kind of like, unlike dead naming, actually. Dead naming is a new term. Transvestism is kind of old-fashioned almost. It's getting that way anyway. I know a few people get confused about this. It has nothing to do with finance. All right, that's an entirely different subject. Transvestism, what it means is someone who wears the clothing that's commonly associated with the opposite gender. And the absolute king of transvestism is Eddie Izzard. And what he says on the matter is that he doesn't talk about wearing women's clothing. He just says that he wears dresses, which is absolutely fair enough. I wear dresses myself sometimes. There's no big deal. I mean, I don't have any issues, frankly, with what anyone wears. I don't care what you put on. You do what you want. So that's what we used to say about that. But like I say, it's kind of an old word. You don't really hear it so much anymore. People used to say cross-dressing, this kind of thing as well. These are not terms that we generally use anymore. So I wouldn't recommend using them at all. Just to do as Eddie Izzard does and talk about wearing, refer to it as I'm wearing a hoodie, I'm wearing a dress, whatever. It's the same. It's all the same thing. And then I know this isn't what you asked me, but just to kind of add to this same conversation, because it's kind of in the same thing, there's another category called drag, and that is not to be confused with what used to be called transvestism, cross-dressing, and all that. What that is when usually men dress up like divas, as they say, like a Beyonce, for example. That's a diva. And so they dress up like that, and it's a hugely popular phenomenon. It came out kind of in the 70s, 80s, I think, but it's absolutely huge these days. One of the most popular TV shows is called Drag Race, and that's where people do this drag thing, and it's a real show. They put on a real show. They do a lot of this kind of thing. It's like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, very entertaining. And they have a great tradition in the drag scene called throwing shade, which I'm a huge fan of. I love to throw shade as far as possible. So, so big up the drag scene is what I say, because just for that alone, throwing shade is a pretty cool concept. So I'm into that. And the only thing I would say about Drag Race, really, the only way I would improve it is to, because also I think it's a little bit biased, the way that it's mostly men dressed up as the divas. I do think that we should have a version of Drag Race where it's just young, attractive women, but in every other way it's the same as the current version, because then you would see young, attractive women dressed like those drag queens on Drag Race do. Um, and for some of us, that would be equally entertaining. Okay, so I hope that answers the question, Hashley. It was a good one. Thank you for leaving it there. And I'm sorry I've taken up more time than I intended to with that answer, but I think it's a very important issue, and it's good to get the terminology straight, because a lot of people find this stuff confusing. All right. So with that said, let's move on to your next question. Derek, as a citizen of the UK, are you concerned about the Kent variant of the coronavirus? And that is from Xi Jinping in Beijing. Thank you, Xi, for sending that in. Um, well, I actually have a lot of relatives in Kent. As some regular viewers will know, I'm from Cornwall, but a lot of my relatives are Kent residents and born and raised there. And some of my friends also are from Kent. And to be honest, I think this whole talk of a Kent variant, Kent virus, this kind of thing, is just, what it's going to do is it's going to encourage prejudice against Kentish people. And I find that very concerning. I do think we should find more neutral names for these things so as not to encourage any prejudice. I mean, you wouldn't go around calling this virus the Wuhan flu, for example, because you wouldn't want to create any kind of prejudice against the people of Wuhan, a people who, by the way, I am very, very fond of. Those are some of my favorite people on earth. So I don't think that it's fair to you wouldn't say Wuhan flu, so don't say Kent virus. I think it's just fair. So let's all agree on some other way. Let's just call it, I don't know, a technical, not like COVID-19 is just a kind of technical name, SARS-CoV-2, something like that. But I don't know what the scientific number would be or whatever. Maybe one of the scientists could help us out with that, coming up with better names for these things, because the last thing we want to do is encourage more division between people, and the Kentish people get enough stick as it is, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I'm biased, because like I say, a lot of my family and friends are from there, but it does upset me a little bit when I hear people talk about the Kent virus in that way, because it's loaded, it's loaded with a kind of implicit prejudice, and I dislike that a lot. All right, so I hope that answers that question. Thank you, Xi Jinping, for that one. Let us move on to the next question, question 3. I think this will be the last one for the day, because time's getting on. Derek, have you seen the viral video of the woman doing aerobics as the coup in Myanmar is taking place? And who's that question from? That is from Victor Pride. Okay, Victor. Well, I have seen it, yeah, and it was one of the most insane pieces of footage I've ever seen in my life, to be quite honest with you. I was watching it, my jaw was just dropping, frankly, when I was watching that, because that kind of aerobics is absolutely a waste of time, and it's dangerous. I think that she's risking injury there. She should definitely look into doing some kind of calisthenics, perhaps bioenergetics. That's a good one, a good alternative to this kind of, I don't even know what the hell she was doing. She's kind of jiggling around, and also And the third point on that is she was wearing a mask while doing aerobics. I really do not recommend that. You can't breathe properly that way. So yeah, I did see that video. Is incredible, absolutely incredible. And I just hope that she's because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's saying these things. I really hope that she's managed to pick up a new regime, and I hope that no one's copying her either. It's a little bit irresponsible to put that kind of thing out on the internet, I'd say. All right, so thank you, Victor, for that question. Keep them coming in, guys. If you got questions that you want me to answer, which I know you do. I mean, let's face it. If you just look deep inside, you'll realize there's something that you need a little help with, and that I could definitely help you out with. So leave your questions in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Keep growing. No cheat days. I'll see you in the next video.